Hello, my name is Jude, and this is my audience. So, what if the key to unlocking greater muscle growth isn't in how much weight you're lifting, but in how you're moving it? With today's speech, I will inform you on why training with a full range of motion is the most effective method. Now, what gives me the credibility? Well, I myself have switched to lowered weight and full range of motion training style. My three main topics are what is the definition and what classifies as full range of motion, what is muscle growth versus strength training, and lastly, the benefits in daily life when utilizing full range of motion. So how do you go by defining and classifying? Well, the definition for a full range of motion is the complete movement potential of a joint, starting from the fully flexed position to a fully extended position. This concept was popularized in strength training and later rehabilitation, as it's believed to promote better muscle development, joint stability, and flexibility. However, it's important to consider your own individual differences and exercise context to get the best approach. Now let's look at what classifies hitting the full range of motion. As a baseline, as long as you're getting to the hardest part of the lift, for example, the bench press has its sticking point at the bottom of the movement where it's the hardest. It should be a smooth and controlled motion, meaning you should be able to achieve the full range without compensating your initial form. There's also joint-specific capacity, where, for example, the shoulders have a much greater range of motion compared to other joints in the body due to it being a ball and socket joint. Although more is not always better. Let's take squats, for example. Some people's anatomy does not let them squat deep without tons of lower back rounding, which at that point it's doing more harm than good. Since range of motion can be influenced by several limiting factors like age and muscle strength, and your flexibility, it's crucial to make sure you are working within your capable range. But there are exceptions, like in the side lateral raise, where you can cut the bottom part of the movement out since it's the furthest from the sticking point. Now that you've learned how to define and classify full range of motion, let's look at what goes into muscle growth versus strength training. There are three main types of muscle fibers. First, we have the slow twitch muscle fibers. These fibers are oxygen reliant and have smaller diameter, and they are mainly used for low intensity or long duration activities. There are also fast twitch muscle fibers, which are larger and don't rely on oxygen to function, but instead use glucose for energy, resulting in greater force output but fatiguing quicker. Lastly, we have the intermediate fibers that are a combination of the last two, so they can use both oxygen and glucose to power the muscles. Next is time under tension, and it's just the total time a muscle is under load during an exercise. When you're using full range of motion, you're activating all types of fibers, and it's crucial for hypertrophy, which is the process in how muscle fibers increase in size. When combining full range of motion with adequate time under tension, you increase the total time the muscle is under load, which leads to greater muscle growth. Now there's maximizing strength. This is where full range of motion might not be as effective, as the main goal is to move weight as fast as possible. The fast twitch muscle fibers is more effective. With that said, adopting a partial range of motion helps to overload your muscles in their strongest position. Overall, partials are usually intended to build explosive strength rather than to build muscle. Finally, now that you know what full and partial range of motions are used for, let's talk about the benefits of utilizing a full range of motion. Functional strength. Since going through a full range of motion builds strength and stability across the entire muscular system, it mitigates weakness throughout your whole body, which prepares you for real-life activities that involve dynamic movements and things like climbing structures. For some of your joints and ligaments, they will also be better equipped to sustain strength as you get older and be less prone to damages. Enhanced flexibility and injury recovery. Physical therapy often uses controlled full range movements to reintroduce stress to an affected muscle to aid in recovery. This method also helps to slowly restore the natural movement patterns after an injury. It helps by increasing your muscle elasticity and reducing overall stiffness in the muscle. Control and stability. Going through a full range of motion also builds up your connective tissue, which acts like a structural support for your body. This will grant higher joint stability, which is great, especially when you get older. You also engage tons of stabilizer muscles, allowing for a smoother and controlled movement overall. And in conclusion, After looking at how to classify and understand the benefits, whether you're trying to push for PRs in the gym or simply train for longevity, I hope I have informed you on how utilizing a full range of motion is not only optimal for muscle growth, but also helpful in physical therapy after an injury or even just basic maintenance to keep your body in the best working condition. Thank you. That was my speech. And this is, again, my audience.